Okay, hopefully we are live here. I just want to make sure. Oh God. Nope. No. Okay, we are. Good. All right. Welcome back to the Wrestling Pod. I'm your host, Carlito Santiago. And Lewis, again, not here with us. Because apparently he has other things to do. But today, we're going to talk about Monday Night Raw. The last Raw on the European tour that they're on. They were in the O2 Arena again in London. They will be back in the U.S. They will be in Chicago for this Friday. I think Chicago for this Friday, and then Minneapolis for Monday next week. But there was a lot of things that went on this week, and I'm about to tell you what happened. But without further ado, of course, if you can please hit that subscribe button, drop a like, comment down below, and turn on those post notifications so you'll never miss a stream. And we will be live streaming WrestleMania 41 on the 19th and the 20th. So look out for that. But Cena opened up Raw to a crowd of boos and fans chanting about how he sucks, or how much he sucks. But before he could say a single word, Cody Rhodes' music hit and he joins him in the ring. The American Nightmare ran through some of the ways Cena could make fun of him, including his old nickname, Stardust. Cody Rhodes wanted to know why Cena had turned his back on the fans after all these years, and the veteran fired back, saying he was going to bury his rival like he has done to everyone else. Of course, he buries mediocrity. Now, Cena and Rhodes did a great job here, and this might have felt repetitive to some, because we have seen a couple of these talking segments already. But they pulled it off in an exhilarating way. They traded words for a long time and dug deep in an attempt to hurt each other before they got physical. Cena tried to attack, but Rhodes dropped him with a crossroads and stood tall with the title. Now, there was a vague reference to Vince McMahon, and this whole segment is a go out of your way and see. Like, the grade is not even a fucking B. I don't know what Bleacher Report's on, but this is not a B grade. This is an A++++. The amount of work that they did in this promo. The first fucking 10 minutes was literally them chanting and singing. Not only to Cena sucks, to shut the fuck up, it was to Rhodes, the Cody Rhodes chant that they were doing. 10 minutes until they decided to talk. I think the segment lasted almost 20 minutes. But nonetheless, it was good. It got physical, and that's what we needed. We finally got somewhere. So, A+. It's a go out of your way and see. I'm trying to remember what was said. I know I knew the Vince McMahon reference. Cena was just on a tear. Verbally destroyed Cody Rhodes. Oh yeah, and Cena's shirt was one of the best too. So there's that. The New Day took on an old familiar team. You see, Kofi Kingston wanted to prove to Adam Pearce that the New Day deserved tag team title shots, so the Raw general manager gave them the opportunity to earn it. But they had to do it against the returning Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. The English pair controlled the pace against Woods with some quick double team moves. The show cut to a break after both members of the New Day were taken out at ringside. After the break, Woods and Kingston showed more life, but the New Catch Republic had the upper hand more often. The New Day was able to make a comeback by hitting their Daybreak finisher for the pin and the win. This was a fun match that ended with Eric and Ivar coming out to make it clear that they're ready for Woods and Kingston. Interesting. Finally getting the tag team champions on Raw here. Could be looking for new development next week. Tyler Bates' airplane spin is always a fun spot to see. And the London crowd gets a big pop for Bates, and done. Both Englishmen, so of course this is good for the English crowd. Yeah, I would say graded a B. Wasn't that bad. I caught some of the highlights. It was pretty good. But this one's another one you can go out of your way and see. Jimmy Uso was looking to knock Gunther down a peg this week after they got into a heated exchange last Monday. And of course, Uso was able to pick up a win against The Miz, so his momentum doesn't get hurt by taking this loss. The ring general looked angrier than usual as he made his way to the ring. The World Heavyweight Champion had control for a while, but Uso was able to take him down with a suicide dive at ringside. Cut to a commercial break. Nah. Gunther kicked out of an Uso splash and leveled Jimmy with a brutal chest chop as he began to decimate him. I know it says dismantle, but my words, not yours. The title holder could have won shortly after we returned from the break, but he lifted Uso off the mat and stopped the pin. He did it again as he continued to punish the brother of his WrestleMania opponent. Now this is a good way to remind people how dangerous the ring general is. He looked as dominant as ever as he took Jimmy apart. He eventually won with a sleeper hold to end the beating. Now Jay came out to try to help Jimmy, and a post-match attack happened. Now, Gunther took out both Jimmy and Jay. Gunther then chopped Jay while putting zip ties on him. He zip-tied Jay to the ring rope. He destroyed his brother, hitting him with the title, making him bleed, putting him in another sleeper hold, and continuously beating him, also powerbombing him at one point, as Jay watched on helplessly. The story here, really, and if you clearly can't see it, one thing to date back to, Jimmy has always protected Jay. Always. No matter what it was. Jimmy has protected Jay. Now that Jay's doing it on his own, he feels like he doesn't need protection. Now, it kind of feels like Jay can't protect Jimmy. Sorry, not protect. I meant that Jay feels now obligated to protect Jimmy. But Gunther made sure that he couldn't. Doing this, having the zip tie, having the fucking beating of a brother, this is a good way to show how dangerous Gunther can be. This is more of a story of perseverance. Being able to overcome, shall I say, to make it simpler. Uso shall overcome Gunther at WrestleMania. It is a big waste for them to have Jay win the Rumble for only him to lose to Gunther. Now, I don't know who should take the title from Jay. That's left up in the air for whoever. But as far as I'm concerned, you can't let this slip. Now, you could keep the title on Gunther and have Seth Rollins be the one to beat him, or to have fucking Ilya Dragunov come out and be the one to beat him. Sure. But WWE has a clear path and a clear story they're making here. WWE, this is just a new version or a new take. WWE doesn't just have Jay lose to Gunther on a Saturday Night Main Event to only have him win the Rumble, to then only have him lose at WrestleMania. If they were going to do that, you might as well have just had Cena win the Rumble, have Jay win the Elimination Chamber, and this would have been all golden. But no. This is what we're getting, and I'm all for the ride. And if that ride brings us to Gunther retaining, well, it brings us to Gunther retaining. It's going to be a good match. It does suck that it's not the main event, but I know it's going to be a good match. I want to be honest. I'm really going to be honest here. I would rather Punk, Rollins, and Roman over Jay and Gunther as the main event. That's a preference. Now, the IWC might not like that, but fuck them, right? Because they're a bunch of lunatics. Cry me a real glass. Cry me a river. Yeah, B+ for that. But that's another one to go out of your way to see. Continues the story. What also continues the story is Penta, Braun Breaker, Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio, which is most likely to be a fatal 4-way. They had a tag team match, though. After being opponents last week, Penta and Braun Breaker were able to find themselves on the same side on Monday when they battled Finn Balor and Dirty Dominic Mysterio. Dom was quickly taken down by Penta, which paved the way for Breaker to come in and run him over with a shoulder tackle. Breaker and Penta combined their power and high-flying skills to make for a fun tag team against the more experienced duo of the Judgment Day. Penta was on the defense after the break, but he tagged in a fresh Breaker to start throwing both opponents around like rag dolls. Now, Dom and Balor set up Breaker to hit an accidental spear on Penta, which allowed Balor to hit the coup de grace and for Dominic to kind of take out Breaker. This was definitely the more interesting of the two possible outcomes, but the match would have been more interesting, or would have been interesting regardless of who won. So it didn't matter. But they needed the Judgment Day to win in order for them to feel like they're going to, they needed the Judgment Day to defeat them to feel more involved into the story that's being told here. Which is, I guess, the breakup of Finn Balor and Dominic, or the introduction to Aleister Black, probably? I don't know. The new member of the... I don't fucking know. All I do know is that... Yeah, I already mentioned this. So, anyway. They're going to do a Fatal 4-Way so they can break up Finn Balor and Dominic. So they can probably tease it at Mania, and then it happens at Backlash. Right? Breaker retains, though. Like, he ain't going to give up that title. Easy. Like, it's just... I don't know who's going to beat him. But Breaker wouldn't lose that title. I even have it here. I'll show you guys. Yeah, right here. See, this is what it's most likely. I thought it was going to be a multi-man match, like a 6-person, you know. But apparently, if how it's going, it's probably going to be this. They're gonna set up tension between these two. So then when the breakup happens, it's nothing special, right? Or, sorry, it feels special, but to me, it's nothing special. And then it comes back to Penta and Breaker being the final two. I don't know. Honestly, Dominic might just be the one to take the pinfall. Might not be Balor. But if it is Balor who takes the pinfall, you know who's retaining, and that's Breaker. But we're already setting up for WrestleMania, so let's just add another match to the card, shall we? Speaking of, London hates Logan Paul. AJ Styles was in the ring after the break. WWE hyped up the segment as Paul called him out, but we ended up getting the opposites because the Phenomenal One was tired of waiting for him. The crowd booed so loudly that they could barely hear the YouTuber speak. He gave the same speech he always does about being more famous and richer than his opponent, yada yada yada, same old crap, write some new material. They ended up getting into a fight, and Styles had control until Paul used the ring ropes to hit a low blow. Now, that's always been AJ Styles' weakness, is the fucking ring ropes. If you don't believe me, let's go back to 2016 when Ambrose did the same thing to AJ when he was hitting the Phenomenal Forearm, or well, supposedly, and took off. Now, Paul hit his finisher, which is known as the Pulverizer? Yeah, the Pulverizer. And it looks pretty fucking cool if you ask me. Now, this was a painted by the numbers segment. It did its job, but it didn't offer anything interesting other than, of course, a WrestleMania match. Yes, you see Logan Paul and AJ Styles will be fighting at WrestleMania, which, of course, has been the setup because nobody wanted to see Logan Paul and John Cena. Plus, we need something for AJ to do. And Logan Paul to do. Can't just throw them into the mix and not have anything for them. Come on, what are we doing? Right? We get to our main event, of course. We also hear that El Grande Americano is going to be wrestling in the States in Minneapolis. That just might be the reveal that Chad Gable is El Grande Americano. Oh my god, he's not so sick after all. It was Gable all along. No, so the Women's World Championship match was on the line in the main event. And what I thought would have been a better outcome is, if you think about it, Bianca obviously was going to get taken out. You have Io and Ripley. Referee comes in, 1, 2, 3. Ripley wins the championship. You would think that would be the case. So it screws Io, and Io's going to bitch and complain and whine that it wasn't fair. Nobody treated her like a real champion. But instead, we got something different. You see, the crowd gave both women warm welcomes, but chants for Sky rang out as the match began. They locked up and fought for control until being forced to make a break. Ripley got into a couple of arguments with special guest referee Bianca Belair, and Sky took advantage of that, being distracted every chance she got. So this match stole the show because both women left everything in the ring. Even the few hiccups they had didn't hurt their momentum because they kept upping the intensity. Now, Ripley accidentally kicked the EST of the WWE out of the ring, so nobody was there to count when she hit the Riptide, and when Belair finally made the count, the Genius Sky kicked out at 2. Sky ended up taking out Belair by mistake a few moments later, so the referee just decided, you know what, fuck this, I'm going to throw the match out, and it's a double DQ. She kicked me, now you're kicking me, fuck you both, right? So all three women just began fighting each other, but Ripley was the one who stood out tall. So yeah, this was an A-. But did we really have to end it with a fucking DQ again? Are we just going to we're just going to end our main events with DQs? I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of the way it ended, okay? Not a fan of the way it ended. Okay, first off, you guys all know that I'm not a fan of the DQs unless they're done properly. We should have had a new champion here. Ripley should have won the fucking championship. They weren't going to do that to Io, right? Io's just going to hold it for a month so Bianca Belair can fucking win it. Right? What's the point of Ripley held it for a fucking month? Now Io's going to hold it for about a month. And Bianca Belair is going to fucking win it. They're going to make her lose that fucking WrestleMania streak. Come on. But this is another match to go out of your way and see. So few people in WWE have kind of an aura that Ripley possesses. The crowd instantly pays attention whenever she appears. That is obvious. I'm just sick and tired of these DQ finishes, man. If you are too, like, fucking please stress it in the comments down below. But the final grade of this show. Monday Night Raw had more good than bad, but most of what we got felt predictable and like filler. I don't know if you felt like that, but I felt a little bit like that too. As WWE tries to stretch out this year's WrestleMania, build longer than usual. Having the pay-per-view take place so much later in April than usual has left the company with more time than it's used to between events. And you can see how hard it is to keep finding ways to feature the feuds that have been building for months. All the matches we got this week were enjoyable in different ways. But the main event was the only one that felt like it was going to have an effect on WrestleMania come April 19th and the 20th. Ripley not getting a clean ending to her title match and proceeding to take out Sky and Belair almost guarantees this will be a triple threat match. And that is exactly how it should be. Like I have it right here, top of the fucking thing to be determined. It's going to happen. And Bianca Belair is probably going to win. I'd be shocked if they kept Io champion. Because Belair and But here's the thing. This is why I think it's going to be Belair. Because they can do Belair. Sky's just going to get a title rematch. And Ripley's going to fucking screw that up. So that Ripley and Bianca... We get the Ripley and Bianca at fucking Backlash. I mean, it's a smart call. Honestly. But this would be even smarter. The smarter thing would have been to have Rhea Ripley get the clean win. So then it fucks Io over. Ripley walks in the Mania champion. Io fucking bitches and complain that she didn't get a fair shot. She gets into the match. It's a triple threat match. Belair wins it in the end. Instead, they're going with Ripley had the title. Now we push it to Io. Io's going to hold the title until WrestleMania, and then Belair's going to take it. Only to face Rhea Ripley a month later. So, we're going to have to wait for that to happen. But the overall grade was a B. I mean, the show did feel predictable, and it was like filler. But the things to go out of your way to see is the main event. The Gunther Uso match, and the Cena Cody Rhodes promo. And this is how they kind of leave it off in London. We are going to be in Chicago for SmackDown. Saturday 5th, I will be summarizing it. Next week, on the Raw review, I will explain how WrestleMania week will be going. Once I review Raw, after it, like now, I will be telling you how the WrestleMania week will be going for us. Okay? So you guys got to get an idea. But until then, this has been the Raw review. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys on Saturday, 1 o'clock Eastern. like usual. I know this was pretty short, but yeah, I hope Lewis can join us next week. I don't know what his deal is, but I will see you guys on Saturday.